Listen to this kick drum. Well, nice sample, but you know, it's not too exciting, do you agree? So listen to it again. Oh, what happened? It sounds much better. So how did I do that? But first, hello and welcome to the Ground Noise and my 5 tips to improve your drum production. I show you 5 of the things I constantly do when I create my drum parts. Very simple stuff, but super effective. And don't worry, you don't need special fancy plugins and you don't need a special DAW. I'm using Cubase, but that really doesn't matter. So are you ready? Okay, let's go. So this is the first kick drum you've heard. Also have a look at the meter here. And the only thing I did here was to add another sound, another kick drum sound. So I combined 2 different bass drum sounds to create a new one. Let me unmute it here. Do you see this dynamic spike here? That's what I really like to have in my drum parts, dynamic. So that's my first tip. Don't hesitate to combine different drum sounds, like 2 different bass drum sounds or even more, and 2 different snares, different hi-hat sounds. You do that with other instruments all the time, so why not with the drum part? You only need to care about the levels so that the combined sounds don't crank up the velocity. You can see it here that my main kick drum sounds are at level 100. And the other ones are a little bit lower at 90. Just look at the meter when you're micro mixing such parts. Keep a little headroom here and you should be fine. And if you're using a sample player like a Groove Agent, you have even more ways to pre-mix your drum part. And my second tip is something I do really often because it's a great way to add more cool syncopation and also dynamics to a drum part. And it even works when you're not a drummer and you have no idea about drum parts. No problem, listen to our drum part again. And again. Very subtle, okay, very subtle, but also very cool. You can't deny it. I've just added a multi-delay to the second kick drum sound that is on the 2 and the 4. In this case, it's a dotted 8th note with a pretty high feedback of 40%. For me personally, that's a high amount, but I also have a very low amount of my mix here, only 12%. In my project here, I've decided it sounds best this way, so we can crank up the mix value. But it quickly turns the groove into something very different, almost like a reggaeton. And I didn't want that. Okay, I didn't want that. And by the way, this is a song I've written in the 100 subscriber challenge here on my channel. It's finished now, it's called Elevate, and you can listen to it on Spotify, Bandcamp, whatever, if you want. Links are all over the place. Now let's talk about my tip number 3. And this one is about effects. Yes, finally we talk about effects because we all love effects, but you will be disappointed because this one is still no fancy thing, not a fancy spice up your drum like a pro plugin. But I better shut up now. Listen to this drum fill. Wow, big drums, I like it. Also there is a long reverb going on, but now listen to it again. Oh, wow, this really comes through. It's beefy and cool, and of course it's a flanger. The experts of you already know that this is a flanger effect, just a normal flanger, and this is really a classical thing to do with the drum sound. And my big tip here is to try the big 3 modulation effects for guitar on a drum set, like chorus, flanger, phaser. Of course also distortion, all of that works great, more or less great. It depends, okay, but it's a very nice idea to use very classic and simple modulation effects to really improve your drum sounds. In this case, I have a big drum fill going on, and I wanted to make it sound even bigger. Before I continue with tip number 4, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Yes, you. Thank you very much. So tip number 4 is about the use of reversed sounds. You know, that reverse symbol we do all of the time. Okay, but it's almost a little bit cheesy because everybody is doing that. So I'm always looking for other ways. And did you know that you can reverse a kick drum sound, for example, as well? It's a nice little thing to have in your song. Not so super into the face, it's more like an addition to that bass drum sound instead of a fill-in or break. Okay, the only problem is that a kick drum sound is very short and it's easier to reverse a cymbal sound to create that swelling effect. So I've just added a not too long reverb to one kick, rendered that in place and reversed it. And then you need to fine tune it a little bit so that it lines up in this case with the normal kick drum sound here. So how exactly you want to do that totally depends on your track. In this case it's just a little whoop. My tip number 5 is please always go that extra mile when it comes to drums, okay? Improve your drum parts, don't mess it up. I'm not saying that because I'm a drummer, oh, he's a drummer, of course he wants to. No, it's not like that. Just listen to the charts, the pop charts or whatever. It's vocals, 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 drums, 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 bass, and a little bit of extra stuff like pads or something. But it's mostly vocal production and drum production. Not only in pop music. No, there is no great band with a bad drummer. When the drummer sucks and the drums sound terrible, everything sounds terrible. I think that's a matter of fact, but you can use the comment section below to prove me wrong. And I also think that the genre doesn't matter. It's in every genre the same. You want to have a really good drum part that makes people dance, makes people move, and also adds little surprises and interesting sounds to the whole thing. And that's what I tried here. Let's go back to our drum part. That's a normal drum part with a snare. Later in the song I've added the snare. And yes, this is just a normal 4 on the floor techno beat. We hear the little syncopation that's going on from the delay. And sometimes in the beginning of a section I've added this little boom sound. It's just a deep bass drum with a very long reverb. And I haven't used hi-hats here in this track. Instead I've used this part here, the clap vault. Okay, and I use this plug-in here, claps vault, to create this melodic percussion line. And the track actually starts with that small pattern. And I really can recommend claps vault. It's not only for claps, you can also create interesting snare sounds and glitch sounds. And now everything together. Alright, don't hesitate to combine different drum sounds to create a new one. And if you have no idea how to add syncopation or dynamics to a drum part, try it with delay. Also remember and appreciate the power of classic modulation effects and think out of the box. When everybody uses reversed cymbals, you're the one with the reversed kick drum. And always go that extra mile when it comes to your production, please. Don't think the drummer is unimportant, it's just the guy in the background, muffled down with all the pillows and blankets. That way of thinking is long time gone. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but don't blame me. Better leave a silly comment and also don't forget to leave a like before you go. My name is Markus, you've been watching The Ground Noise and I hope to see you soon in the next one.